The possibility of João Cancelo's returning to Barcelona is something that, until recently, felt distant, almost unlikely. But football changes fast, and so does the landscape. Today, this idea is no longer just speculation. It's being seriously discussed, defended by part of the fan base, and internally analyzed by the club as a possible solution to a problem that has repeated itself match after match. There is a clear sense that Barcelona need to act, especially in the defensive sector, and particularly on the flanks, where mistakes at the start of the season have cost points, compromised games that were under control, and exposed weaknesses that can no longer be treated as isolated incidents. Before we continue, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because the goal here isn't just to repeat news or headlines. Here, we analyze scenarios, context, and consequences. And at the end, I really want to know your opinion, because this is a topic that truly divides Barcelona fans. And it's precisely from this point that I want to step away from the standard narrative circulating out there. I like João Cancelo, I really do, and it's important to make that clear from the start, because this isn't about rejecting the player or downplaying his quality. Technically, Cancelo is an above-average fullback, modern, creative, with great game intelligence, capable of playing inside, outside, creating numerical superiority, and directly contributing to the attacking build-up. As a squad option, as a player who expands the team's tactical repertoire, I would accept his return. I wouldn't see it as a huge mistake or an irresponsible decision. But there is one point that needs to be addressed honestly, without emotion, nostalgia, or romanticism: defensive instability. Barcelona are already suffering defensively this season. They struggle in transitions, when they lose the ball in attack, during defensive recovery, and especially when games become open. This isn't an opinion, it's a diagnosis. And João Cancelo, historically, has never been a reliable fullback without the ball. He offers a lot offensively, but he also leaves spaces, loses concentration at times, and requires constant defensive cover. In a team that is still searching for solidity at the back, this is a real risk, and it needs to be treated as such. As much as there is an emotional side to this, as much as Cancelo knows the club, the city, the pressure, and the shirt, the question Barcelona must ask themselves is simple but uncomfortable. Can the team today absorb this level of defensive risk, or would it simply be swapping one problem for another, betting that individual talent will compensate for structural flaws? That said, it's impossible to ignore the market context that has brought João Cancelo's name back into the conversation with such force. His most recent spell at Barcelona was undoubtedly impactful. He was important offensively, decisive in big matches, directly involved in goals, assists, and key plays, and quickly became one of the most influential players in the squad. Still, his departure happened for a clear reason. There was no agreement between Barcelona and Manchester City, who then owned his rights. The loan renewal wasn't made possible, and the financially constrained Catalan club ended up watching him be sold to Al Hilal, a decision that still divides fan opinion to this day. Currently, Cancelo still has 1 year left on his contract with the Saudi club, but the player himself has already made it clear that he doesn't want to stay there. His desire is straightforward and no secret to anyone: to return to Barcelona. This has never been hidden. Whether through interviews, public gestures, or behind-the-scenes conversations, Cancelo has always shown affection for the club and frustration over how his exit unfolded. For him, that chapter remains unfinished. Given this scenario, Barcelona could consider a permanent signing, but the board understands that this is not the moment for a major investment. Cancelo's annual salary is around 15 million euros, a hefty figure given the club's current financial reality, as it still tries to comply with La Liga's financial fair play rules. That's why the most viable alternative remains another loan, especially since Al Hilal aren't opposed to letting the player go in order to reduce their wage bill. Additionally, the fact that his contract is nearing its end weakens the Saudi club's negotiation position, opening the door to more flexible deals, such as salary sharing or even a future purchase option. In recent weeks, reports have even emerged that João Cancelo would be willing to significantly reduce his salary just to make a return to Barcelona possible. This detail weighs heavily in the board's analysis, as it shows the player's genuine desire to wear the Blaugrana shirt again. Even so, any move must be made with caution, respecting the club's financial limits and avoiding new registration issues or sanctions. The problem is that Barcelona have been slow to make a definitive decision, and in that gap, other clubs have started to move. Inter Milan have entered the race strongly and now present themselves as a concrete alternative if Barca fail to act. The Italian club offers a competitive sporting project, consistent Champions League presence, and a more stable financial situation, factors that increase the pressure on the Catalan board to move quickly. From a strategic point of view, Cancelo's return fits into a broader context of Barcelona's reconstruction. The club is trying to balance youth and experience in the squad, which is essential to compete at the highest level. Cancelo offers exactly that. He's still at a high physical level, has experience at major European clubs, has won important titles, and played decisive Champions League matches, something many of the squad's younger players haven't yet experienced. This kind of background helps accelerate development, improves game reading under pressure, and raises the level of decision-making on the pitch. Within Hans Flick's system, Cancelo also makes sense offensively. He's a fullback who can move inside as a false midfielder, retain possession under pressure, speed up play when needed, and create numerical superiority, key traits for a Barcelona seeking control, intensity, and quick ball circulation. On top of that, he already knows the club, the style of play, and the demands of the fans, which drastically reduces adaptation risk. But once again, all of this must be weighed against what I consider the central issue, defensive security. Barcelona already struggle at the back, and as much as I like Cancelo, as much as I recognize his quality, it's impossible to ignore that he increases the level of exposure. That doesn't mean the signing would be wrong. It does mean it must come alongside tactical adjustments, well-trained cover mechanisms, and a more solid defensive structure than the team currently shows. In the end, João Cancelo's possible return is not a simple decision. It involves emotion, identity, market dynamics, finances, and above all, the sporting project. It could be a smart short-term solution, but it could also bring risks if it's not properly contextualized within the collective. And now I want to hear from you. Are you in favor or against João Cancelo's return to Barcelona? Do you think his offensive talent compensates for the defensive instability? Or would you prefer the club to look for a different profile in the market? Leave your opinion in the comments, because this is a debate that deserves to be approached calmly, without blind passion, but also without ignoring what football has already shown us.